There we go. It was a little technical difficulty. I was actually getting a new background loaded on this one.
Is
That's
that
why
why
I
I feel
didn't.
like I'm in a brothel now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to feel a little more sexy time. I don't
Soapland, as
I
you
don't
call
like
it.
having the big bright comic book animated explosion thing behind me when I'm just winding down for the night. And so I was like, you know what? If I was just on here by myself for those last minute and a half, I would have said some stupid shit. So I figured I'll just wait until all three of us are here and I'll get this tailored background that looks beautiful and makes me want to take my shirt off and just be like, yeah, let's hang out in this sauna. It's Friday, January 20th, 2023. And we just got done spending an hour and 45 minutes. Part of that talking about
Too long.
talking too much of that time was spent talking about He-Man, Masters of the Universe, motion picture, whatever you want to call it, that pile of crap.
Experience.
It's honestly though, like I can say this. There are movies that have disappointed me more.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like the Green Lantern movie is so painful compared to He-Man. And but I will say this also, the He-Man movie changed my relationship with He-Man. Like it just made me not care as much anymore. You know what I mean? Like because it's like, wow,
Did you break up and move to Jersey?
If they could sign off exactly, if they could sign off on that movie, then I don't know how much I really care about this franchise. You know.
So when do you think the nadir really was for these sort of comic? Because it's a few years after this that you get the infamous Corman Fantastic Four. It just seemed like a lot of these geek-aimed projects in that late 80s, early 90s.
Well, it's all while
contemptuous.
It's all why Dolph Lundgren was afraid to do the movie, right?
Yeah.
So like, for me, the whole thing changed with Blade. Blade changed the freaking game. Like,
well, there's I think it finally got to the point where I don't think it's a crutch, but the technology got to the point where we can showcase these heroes in a way that it was been perceived in your mind, right?
Yeah, but you know what? In fairness, though, Blade is really loose too. It's loose in a way that just coincidentally like vibes well with Blade, right? Like all this techno music that they threw in there and the massive gore and all the crazy effects that are going on, like that's not what you get when you read Blade in a comic. But like you're not sad that you saw that in a Blade movie, you know what I mean? But like He-Man, there's so many changes that they made that just don't vibe with what we understand and like about He-Man. And I think that's the big difference, right? Is like you can take liberties because obviously Blade was made at a time where like not a lot of people had faith in Marvel movies. And so they were willing to take risks and let you know, very little known directors take this property and do whatever they could with a strong leading man, right, in Wesley Snipes. And they knocked it out of the park with that movie. So like it's not unheard of. It's just it's very unheard of before Blade. Right? Like it's I like He-Man's a weird one, man. It's a weird movie. I'll always call it He-Man, even though that's not the title of the movie.
Because if you say Masters of the Universe, people like what the
sound like a douche. No one in 1980s ever called it Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe.
Dude, did you check out the new He-Man? Like that's what you said. You just never called it.
I'm a big Masters of the Universe fan.
You know what you should do though, Ricky? You should go and look up the commercial for the first Masters of the Universe playset, the Castle Grayskull. It's a pretty dope commercial. It's pretty funny.
It is one of the earliest, toy commercials like that too.
Yeah, go find it and we'll put it on here right now. You need to share it. It's great.
Also, I forgot to mention, I have the Stinkor action figure. Yeah.
Oh, so did I. It stunk up all my figures.
What made it
and
smell?
A piece of shit. I don't
They
know.
actually put chemicals on it to make it smell a specific way in the plastic.
And it would make other things stink.
If you stored it in a bin with all your other freaking toys, all your toys smelled like stinkor. I'm not gonna say it's like as putrid as like when you smell like a dead
No,
or like
it's like a scratch and sniff sticker stink.
It's a weird smell, you know, that it permeates like everything, all the plastic. Yeah, I wish Stinkor was in that movie.
That would have been
Stinkor's cool. I would have mind Stinkor.
I just want a giant skunk man, you know. Did you know that like the other crazy part about like He-Man is after they did the new adventures of He-Man and that failed because that was like He-Man in space and they actually got Japanese company to do the animation so it looked like He-Man anime kind of, but like weird, like he didn't look like He-Man. After they did that one, and then in like I think in 2001 they did a Cartoon Network reboot with characters designed entirely by this group of toy sculptors that were famous in the toy community, and they called themselves the Four Horsemen, and those guys have like been responsible for revolutionizing adult action figure collecting since then, because they are the guys that created the first Marvel Legends. They're the guys that created the first Spawn figures that people love, you know, like that launched an entire new toy company. But those Four Horsemen guys, they came to Mattel and said, look, we love He-Man the most. Let us redesign your characters for you. And Mattel's like, where do we sign? And so they let those guys show up and redo the entire line in this crazy, like,
that was like the heavy metal He-Man, right?
I kind of dug them, man. They're pretty cool. They're pretty cool looking.
It's like Metalocalypse He-Man.
Yeah, and they're roided out, but in a different way with really like thin waists and stuff like. But they're really cool figures, and they added articulation and like detail to them, and awesome figures. That show did not do well either, and so
shocker.
Yeah, man, and so that just went away, and then the Four Horsemen came back and were like, okay, so that was cool, but like, do you want us to redesign your old school toys to look new? And so then they made a new line of He-Man classics, and it's like they look just like they did in the cartoon, man. It's pretty cool. But I'm not gonna do it because I've already been burned so much by Mattel throughout my life that I generally just say no to Mattel toys because they made He-Man movie. That's why. They made
they're on the upswing, right? They got the Barbie movie coming out soon.
I am hopeful for the Barbie movie because they need that. They need to catch up because like as evil as they are, Hasbro understands that all of the licenses they hold are worth way more than just the toy itself, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Hasbro has its own film division
will not
now.
let go of their licenses ever.
No.
Actually, you know what's crazy is Hasbro for a period of time had the Star Wars license through Wizards of the Coast to produce games and stuff, and they lost that.
Really?
They fucked it up.
You know they had the toy license too.
Yeah, and they fucked it up.
I used to like the card game that came out.
Well, I mean, sorry, they do. Sorry, they
Decipher.
Sorry, I meant to say it the other way around. They do have the toy license, but what happened was they only got it after passing on Star Wars originally. They only
Kenner,
right? Kenner got it, and Kenner got it for so cheap. And like Kenner's deal was like, I think that Lucasfilm got like a nickel for every dollar sold or something like that, you know, some ridiculously low amount, right?
Yeah.
And the contract was signed in perpetuity as long as they either got a check from Kenner every year for an amount no less than, I think, like 10 grand or like $2,500, something like that. It was a small amount. It was not in the 6 digits at all. It was like 4 or 5 digits. And then all they had to do was basically send them a check every year for a minimum of like whatever it was. And they let it lapse because they just forgot to send them a check. And so when it lapsed was in the 90s.
Yeah.
And Hasbro was so scared to miss it a second time around that they gave them so much money. So much. And so yeah, and they've held on to that license forever since then. Like,
well, they lost the game license. Fantasy Flight is who has it now.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
They have both role playing and miniatures rights.
Yeah.
So, like the X-Wing game, the tabletop minis game. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Hasbro doesn't own that game.
No, that's Fantasy Flight.
Wow, that's
a game
nuts.
I pass by every Comic-Con and play around.
I bought some of those ships just because they're really nice if you're playing the tabletop game too.
Duh, that's why they did it, and that's why Hasbro's stupid for not doing that. That's
cool. And they make the RPG now, so the RPG is compatible with all the figures and things, the minis they make. So
wow, that's cool, man. How'd they let that license lapse?
There was sort of a trend, I want to say, in the mid-aughts where licensed properties were not seen as worth it because you had to go through all the legal compliance. Like I had friends who had the Buffy license, and 20th Century Fox was just a pain in the ass. And the way it works is you write the game book or the material, and then it has to go back to them for compliance checks. But they don't give a shit. So it takes months and months and months. And meanwhile, you're falling behind on paying your writers, your art, your production people. So a lot of the game companies just said these licensed games aren't worth it and walked away in the mid-aughts. And Wizards was one of them.
That's crazy. On a similar subject, do you know that Sherlock Holmes is public domain now?
It is.
Isn't that nuts?
I mean, I wish more stuff was public domain.
Public domain.
Let's just go make a Sherlock Holmes movie.
All right.
We'll call it Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, and it'll be inspired by Jack Kirby. How is bananas? It's so bananas. I can't handle that.
All right, I need to hop off. I'm getting summoned. But
okay, cool.
All right,
I'll talk to you guys later.
Ricky, I do have a question for you before we go. But thanks, Brian. Thanks for sticking around.
Bye.
Ricky, what was it like to watch this movie? Like,
I mean, I don't really go back and watch older movies.
And do you think it's because of that?
And it's because of that. To be honest though, I mean, I had going into it, the only thing I've heard about this movie was it was bad, but Skeletor is really good. Like that's the consensus I had going in. So it kind of checks out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think
his acting was pretty impressive.
Yeah. No, he played a good Skeletor.
Yeah.
But it's just like this 80s mediocre lens that just kind of filtered, like it might be like the special effects too that aid in that, because like I can again watch a Fantastic Four from the 2000s, and those are bad movies, but I don't necessarily think.
What about Star Wars? You can watch Star Wars though, right?
Yeah, I mean they're the outliers for sure, but like I can
Star
watch.
Wars is an outlier, huh? Okay.
I can watch what would be considered a bad movie during my time period, my lifetime, right? Like a Green Lantern.
The Green Lantern is a bad movie in my lifetime.
I could say like the bare minimum, I was visually stimulated in that movie, and I can't say the same thing about a
Green Lantern. You were visually stimulated?
Yes.
Oh wow, you were stimulated by floating poop.
Yeah, floating poop. There was a cool Kilowog looked cool.
Interesting.
Was
I
it?
really thought Gwildor looked cool. I liked the costumes on some of the characters. I thought Blade was selling the artistry of his knives. You know, like he knew that guy was legit. But
Yeah, I mean, but you got very limited time with all like
yeah, that's
Glitters
fair.
in it. It's all
That's fair.
limited. Like
And I'm not
at least in
defending
the
the
Green
movie.
Lantern movie, you know, there is a chunk of that movie on it's Oa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, for whatever it's worth, I'm like, oh, Oa looked kind of cool, but
Yeah.
eh,
He-Man's one of the worst ones for us. Like for people growing up in that time, that one really hurt. It hurt a lot. Yeah, I'd be curious to show you one that we consider good, like because it is hard.
Superman's.
Well,
I've not.
Christopher Reeve Superman's actually from the 70s.
Oh,
That's 1978 or 9, 78 or 9. It came out before Star Wars. Before Star Wars. But the ones in the 80s are like the second one's a great movie. The third and fourth ones are not. So the closer you get to the 70s is when Superman is really awesome. 80s Superman, not so much. But yeah, like maybe that's why Superman's the kind of like the exception to the rule is because like he's actually from a slightly different time, right? Like, but also the character is from a way different time, right? And so I think the charm of Superman is like, you know, just like today, how there's people who want to make America great again, right? Like there's people who are nostalgic for a simpler time, quote, simpler time, you know? And so Superman actually is stylized. It doesn't look like the 80s that you were living in at the time,
yeah,
or the 70s then. It looks from a different time, you know what I mean? Just a little bit different.
yeah, I don't mind that. It's, you
And
know,
so I think that makes it more charming to a wider audience, right? Like Masters of the Universe, that was just them wearing what they wore at the time,
like I would
Kevin
be.
and Julie.
I'm
Like
not a big like we talked about again the fantasy stuff. Not really what I seek out, but there is like the weird techno aspect of that universe that I would be kind of down for another trip to Eternia in a live
it,
action form.
Eternia is cool, man. Like Eternia is it's bonkers. It's such a bonkers place to live, and like that's why the promise of He-Man as a story being told in live action, it's such a big promise to children that is really hard to fulfill in 1980s, right? Like it's like we're talking about there are very few movies at that time that could build a world that crazy on a budget, you know what I mean? Like so in that sense Star Wars is an outlier for sure because movies couldn't do what Star Wars was doing often or successfully. But there are some exceptions. I think a good one would be The Last Starfighter, and I kind of want to watch that one with you sometime soon. I know you've never seen that one, but I can give you the premise and see if you like that one. There's a kid as a teenager
Video game, right?
in a small town,
Yeah.
really small town that beats the shit out of this arcade game and sets the highest score. And it's like a space simulator, like flight simulator game. And shortly after that, a strange guy comes to town and tells him that he knows he got the high score and he needs him to come to outer space to help save the galaxy. And that video game was a test for pilots all over the universe. And that arcade game was planted on planets around everywhere, which is awesome because like everybody
cool.
plays arcade, right? Yeah. And whoever gets the high score drafted into the military or the rebellion or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. That's cool, right?
I'm on board.
All right. That
reminds me of Star Kid.
That one has better special effects than Master of the Universe. I promise. That's a charming one. I'll try and see if I can find somebody who wants to watch that one. But I think we did you dirty with Masters.
I feel happy for watching it because again, like
Yeah.
these movies that I hear are bad. It's nice to like confirm, right? Because you might get happy surprises, like a Catwoman.
I will say that Catwoman was the greatest way to start this experiment, because at the end of this year, if nothing else, I got one movie that I liked that I never knew I liked. You know, that's
Right?
pretty cool. Yeah.
Have you watched Megan? Are you gonna go watch Megan? Interested in watching Megan?
I'll watch it when it's on at home. I get weirded out, honestly, about going to the movies to see horror movies, because like this world is so weird now, right? Like you have people that do like, mass shootings at
I did not think you were gonna go that direction, but
I know, right? But you know what I mean? Like at the, what was it? The third Batman movie, right? The Dark Knight
yeah, that's what
Returns.
ended midnight releases.
Yeah, right. Uh, and that's because people are obsessed over the Joker. I'm always like slightly afraid. It's like, what if somebody's really obsessed with like some horror franchise or something, or some horror,
That's a good premise of
like,
Scream, right?
yeah, right? Like I guess Scream traumatized me. So like I'm like, I'd rather just watch them in the comfort of my own home, usually. I don't want to be around other people that like my horror that
As
I
much
like.
as I complain about like the opening day movie going experience, like with the cheering and the I want to see a movie in peace and quiet. I really did enjoy watching like Hereditary in a theater. That because I think that was just like bonkers on a whole nother level.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Midsummer with You was fun.
I loved Midsummer in theaters. I did. But you know what? Those aren't the kind of movies that I think would draw something, like some weird person to come. I think
Yeah.
those are the artsy kind of movies that, like, yeah, I'm fine with those. But like, I don't know, where a movie that's promoting like people just dressing up like as a doll and going out on baseball field and being creepy as fuck. I don't know. I feel like when you're getting into the flash mob mentality of a promotion for the show, I
Well,
don't
weird.
want to see somebody come dressed up as Megan. That'd be creep me out. It just creep me out. I was at Comic-Con one year, like with Lindsay, and we wanted to show her the Masquerade because she wanted to see it, right? She wanted to see the Masquerade. You've seen the Masquerade, right?
Yeah.
It's a rite of passage. Everybody does it once and then they
It's
never do
fun.
it again. Yeah, but you don't do
Pro
it again,
tip,
right?
pro tip, you watch it the next day in the room.
Yeah. We watched it in person in the front row, and Lindsay was sitting next to a guy that was the most goddamn accurate Heath Ledger Joker I've ever seen in person. He kept licking his lips the way Heath Ledger does. He just did all the gross, weird, creepy things. And he was like not even in the contest. He just felt like dressing up as the Joker to go watch the costume contest.
I mean,
And
if yeah,
that's creepy, right? Like,
there's certain aspects of Comic-Con that do creep me out to the
but
point
that's what I'm
where
saying. Like horror impersonation, the notion of it is just terrifying to me sometimes. And so I'm like,
I on multiple occasions have looked into like bulletproof backpack inserts specifically for Comic-Con.
yeah,
Just knowing like the security there and like just the people and the type, I don't like not want to.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to be a bummer like that, but I'm
No,
just
but
like,
it's definitely like I can totally
it's
see where you're coming from.
it's a
For sure.
weird thing for me to like be around super fans of that genre sometimes, like I'm not trying to prejudge them.
Mhm.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like
The
like
Venn diagram, right? And
if
there's
you could find that weird guy that's willing to like super role play the Joker, I don't want to meet the guy that's willing to super role play like a serial killer or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather meet the person that wants to super role play Sonic the Hedgehog. Like that's just how I feel about it. Like, yeah.
That's
so very few horror movies do I go to see anymore. I'm trying to remember the last one that I saw in theaters.
I haven't really thought of one like that can like that I want to go see.
I wanted to see Men, but I couldn't get Lindsay to go see with me. That was the follow-up to Midsummer.
No.
Yeah, I think so, right?
It's not Ari Aster.
It's not?
His next movie, the trailer came out. It comes out in April.
Oh, I thought Ari Aster did Men.
No, Men is the guy. Shit, who did Men? It's here, I'm looking up right now.
Did you see what's his face? Brendan Fraser won the Critics' Choice Award. Have you seen that video of him accepting?
I haven't seen him accepting, but I saw him with Key afterwards.
Yeah,
Alex Garland is Men.
Oh, Alex Garland did Men.
Yeah,
you're right. Okay, well, I still wanted to see it, but now I'm less excited to see it. Okay, well, I'm happy to know that I haven't missed an Ari Aster movie. Yeah,
you should go watch that trailer.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it. Yeah,
but yeah. I don't feel burned about our movie selection. I'm excited what we do next week.
Yeah. I'll ask around. Right now I'm just kind of asking like the guys that I'm normally able to get, but like just like in our local in our circle, just because I know it's a busy time right now for some of the Sony guys because they this is around where they're doing crunch on baseball and stuff.
Can't say that word anymore.
Crunch is what they do. It's what they do. It's always bad.
I think Sony would prefer you not to use that word.
Guess what? I'm not legally required to not say that. I'm free of that. But yeah, no, it's a rough time for like,
totally.
Joel and stuff right now. And just in general, the video game people are just always really busy in January. So I was just like, let's just see who I can find. And I was very happy at Brian's enthusiasm. He's basically coming back for Tank Girl and Dungeons and Dragons. I promise you that Dungeons and Dragons movie is terrible. it's terrible, man. But Jeremy Irons is in it.
Really? Wow.
Yep. Jeremy Irons needed a paycheck.
What I don't get is, like, so Dungeons and Dragons obviously isn't the first tabletop, but it's the one that took off, right?
It's the one that took off because of the negative media exposure, right? Like it's counterculture, right? Like anytime the man says something's bad, it suddenly becomes super popular. And it's right, and people are right to say that it's actually not that great. Like the rule system is pretty rigid and it's pretty vanilla, right? But like I think that's why so many people like it, is because it's a simple, easy to learn mechanic, right? Like you and Joel were both, you're like, I've never
I think my perception of what it was
exactly
and what it actually is are
very different.
We're
right?
very different. It's not as it is restrictive, in a sense.
Yeah.
But it's curious to me, like, to like, I like the stories that we play with Brian because I think they're kind of outside of the norm. Had I just stuck with like a traditional, out of the box type of.
But the normal out of the box ones would have been even more restrictive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Brian grants us the freedom of like, where do you guys want to go today? You know what I mean? And that's not like, that's Brian's expertise, is he's really able to pivot to whatever you choose. Whereas the actual campaigns will say like, okay, you're presented with a choice. Mm-hmm. Do you go down this way or do you go, just like the Amazon Skyrim thing I was telling you guys about? It's kind of more like that, like where it's like you have freedom when it's okay for the DM, when it's convenient for the DM. But like for Brian, he's willing to just go whatever. And that's the fun of it. But like that also makes the game more loose. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's hard to get attached to things sometimes. But that's why Brian was so shocked that we played for a solid year on that one campaign, because that's the longest we've ever done before. Because for us, it used to just be about like, okay, let's have fun hanging out together and do weird shit. And it is that, like, in our hearts, it'll always be that. But like, I think this time around, I think we just actually are craving a story also.
Yeah.
Because what it used to be is we literally were just a band of adventurers, and we just go fuck shit up.
No,
And there was never an overarching story at all. There was never a fallen star that we needed to
it's Grand
retrieve.
Theft Auto Online. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
a sandbox to do debauchery. But have you ever played the heist in Grand Theft Auto?
No.
They are probably some of the best gaming in the past 10 years. They're,
Yeah.
it's each person has a part, and it's very different from everyone else's role, but you're still in the same world, and it's like it reminds me a lot of that. Like when you get like a true thing going, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, it's also a thing too where everybody has to be in the right mood at that
Oh yeah.
night, like if even one person's a little off, it's a little weirder. But like there are times where we're just like all like, yeah, let's do this, and that's when it's the most special, when we're all in agreement on how the night is going to progress. I will warn you, the opposite of that is when we all die, is when we collectively, without even saying anything, have decided that we're just done. We're over playing this campaign, and we start making real stupid decisions that will only end in all of our deaths on purpose, because we're tanking it, and Brian is cool with that too. He doesn't get mad. It's just, in fact, I've never even asked him how he feels when we do that, but like, we just decide we're done with this game, and he's okay with it, and then we just start a new one. And it's really funny how many stories he has available to just tell, like, so it's his way of being social, and I think it's a really cool way of being social.
Oh,
He does it like 3 nights a week, right? Or at least 2 nights a
yeah.
week.
I think
Yeah.
he said 3. Yeah,
Yeah, that's nuts, man. That's
it's a lot
a
of
lot.
D&D.
It's a lot of D&D, but like, if that's your jam, I can think of way worse ways to spend an evening. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
that's free entertainment. Like, that's just, I know Coker's always funny because he always wants to send Brian a tip. And I'm like, don't do that. Don't make it weird. Don't be the guy that pays for it when none of us pay
No,
for
I
it.
send him. I sent Brian whatever you gift, like the Roll20 thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a month or every now and then.
Okay.
I feel like that's useful if he's doing 3 nights, right?
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I feel weird about it only because, like, I know he feels weird about it. Like, so it's
Just send him a Roll20 thing. It's like $8 to $10.
fair enough. Fair enough. Speaking of which, we resubbed on this service today.
Oh, send me a thing
Send you a thing?
for StreamYard, right?
What do you mean a thing?
Like a Venmo thing.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I was like, what do you mean I send you a thing?
I figure I was asking now. We're coming up on a Mandalorian.
I know, right?
New season.
Dude. I'm so excited for that show, but I know it won't fulfill my expectations of what it's going to be. That's how much I love that show.
There's like a group of people who are like, wait, how does he get Baby Yoda back?
Oh, because they didn't watch the stupid show. Yeah, for reals, right? I don't know. Do we do the show?
I think if we do it, it can be a hybrid of every 2 episodes or something.
I think if we don't mind that it doesn't come out exactly the weekend that the show came out, if we allow it to just be something that comes out, a week or 2 later, then I'm cool with it. I just don't want to try scheduling it, right around this show or the other show. Sorry. So if it's like something I can, if we can find time with people outside of like a Friday, after they've had time to watch it, like, people who've had a week to watch it or something like that, and then we meet up and talk. That's cool. I just don't think I want to do it immediately. Like, it's the kind of show that I like watching twice. So I wouldn't mind rewatching the episode before we record for the show, So yeah, I like the show enough. I'd be down to do it, is I think what I'm trying to say. But we just have to figure out who we want to be to talk Star Wars with us, because I definitely think the show was better when we had a third person.
Yeah,
to talk about.
no, it was a lot more fun.
Like that second season was way fun of that show. But yeah, I could be down to like edit. I do have a class I'm going to start taking in a week for photo manipulation kind of stuff, and so I think that class is going to go for 12 or whatever, how many weeks, so it will overlap a little bit. So I don't want to eat too much of my time. So like you said, if it's every 2 episodes or something like that, but we can bring back We Have Spoken. We can do it. Yeah, it'll be fun. I like it, and it's still a different format, and it wouldn't be bad because like I honestly don't remember how to do that format, and so
I can bust out a Zencaster.
No, we're not going to do Zencaster. Screw that. We'll still do it here. We'll do it here. No more of that Zencaster stuff. This thing is doing a StreamYard's betaing, allowing you to record independent audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you can now. It's just a paid thing, right?
Oh, is it? I think it's asked me every time I do these shows if I want to do that. But maybe it is a paid thing now. Who knows? Yeah. Cool. Well, I think I'm good for the night. If you want to go, like, I don't know. I will let you know. I'll try to have the person by Monday again, lined up for next week. Maybe I'll ask Coke. Who knows? He might have some weird ones. He might make you watch Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I'd be curious to see it.
Without ever seeing one?
Yeah.
Nice.
Did I buy those toys at Comic-Con? The Breaking 2 toys?
We bought them for Coke.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we bought them for him. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's enough reason for me.
Okay. Well, I'll ask Coke if he has a movie we want to do. I think that one's definitely going away from the hero's journey for sure, but we'll consider it. But I'll also see if he has a better suggestion, which I feel like he will. But all right, cool. Thanks for watching, anybody who decided to check in with us. We actually got through a night without playing Marvel Snap. That's pretty nuts.
Good record. Good streak.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting tired of that game after this week.
Vampire Survivors still good if you check in with someone else playing your phone.
Quitting Marvel Snap. I got a little tired of it is all.
No.
Do you see by the way, all the Marvel stuff's back in the Fortnite store this week?
No, I didn't. Hop back in.
Yeah. So if there's things you wanted to buy, it's there.
I do have
all of the Marvel
like
characters.
$20 in Fortnite money right now. So
that could buy you one Marvel character. That's like they're like well, I think they're like they have some 2-packs. They have like Gambit and Rogue.
Yeah.
And they have the 2 Thors. And then I think they have that 3-pack with Cable, Psylocke, and Domino.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good 3-pack. I like that one.
I don't care about those characters.
Fine. Whatever. All right, cool. But their snap cards are really good though.
Yes, they do have good snap cards.
All 3 of them do. Yeah. All right, cool. I'm gonna go. Have a good night. Thanks for doing the show.
See you guys.
See ya.